Hey guys, this is Mr. H. Hey, I want to do question number 30 from the August 2025 Regent exam. It is a completing the square question. This one I think is a little challenging for a lot of students. I know personally we generally don't get to practice completing the square a lot. We usually are kind of pressed for time. We usually focus on factoring, trinomials, and using the quadratic formula, but we usually don't spend as much time completing the square. It's and also I just think that the concept of completing the square for a lot of students is a little confusing. So, but I'm going to do this question by completing the square, and hopefully it will help make sense if you've been exposed to completing the square. So they give us the quadratic equation x squared plus 14x minus 28 equals 0. When you're trying to complete the square, one of the first things you want to do is take the constant and move it to the right-hand side of the equation. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to add 28 here, add 28 here. Those cancel out. So I'm going to have 28 here. Right now, what I'm going to focus on is the x squared plus 14x. Now, x squared is nothing more than a square that has sides of x, right? So if I take x times x, that gives me the area x squared, right? That's what would be in here. Okay, now this 14x is nothing more than a rectangle that has one side of x and the other side of 14. Now, completing the square, this is the process. Literally, this is the process that you go through every single time. You're going to take that rectangle and you're going to split it in half and you're going to add it to the square to try to make a bigger square. And you're almost able to make a bigger square, except there's going to be this one little piece that you need to add in order to make it into a perfect square. So let me show you exactly what I mean. So I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to cut this rectangle in half. So this is 7x right here, right? Now I'm going to do the same thing. Going to take this other side, but I'm going to flip it on its side and I'm going to put it right here. Now, so now what I have is I've added 7x here and I've also added 7x here, right? So now if you look at this close, it's almost a perfect square, except that I need this little piece in here. I need a little square. So how do I find that little area? Well, these two sides are 7. So that means the area of this little square is going to be 49. So that means I have to add 49 to this to make it a perfect square. Let me get rid of this 14. But that also means if I add 49 to the left-hand side of the equation, that also means I have to add 49 to the right-hand side of the equation. So let me do that. 49 plus 28, 50 plus 27 is 77. Is that right? Yeah, 77. Now, one more thing we have to do. We're going to rewrite this trinomial as basically we're just multiplying the two new sides, x plus 7 times x plus 7. So this is going to be x plus 7 squared equals 77. Now this is what they want. They want us to get it into this format. So that means P is equal to a negative 7, and that means Q is equal to 77. That's what they want us to do. They want us to get it into this format. Now, if we were trying to solve this using completing the square, I'm just going to go ahead and show you how you would do this. You would take the square root of this side. I'm going to change the color. You would take the square root of this side, and you would take the square root of the other side. So when you take the square root of a square, they cancel out. So you're just going to have x plus 7. And over here, whenever you take the square root of any number, it creates a plus and a minus. Now, this is basically 7 times 11. You can't simplify this, so we can just write it as 77. Now, we want to get x by itself, so it'd be x equals a negative 7 plus or minus square root of 77. Now, if you use the quadratic formula and you simplified or tried to simplify the radical, this is what you should get. Now, this is not the answer. This up here is the, well, This up here is the answer. So you would have to kind of work backwards, right? You'd have to add +7, and then you'd have this part, and then you'd square this side, and then square this side. And then you've got it. Right. But even if you were able to get here, you would only get 1 point because you didn't actually complete the square. We used a quadratic formula. Right. But that's it, guys. I probably did a little bit more than I needed to, but I hope this makes sense. If it doesn't, leave a comment, question, and I'll try to answer it and clear it up. All right. I am going to stop this and post.